Welcome to Chinatown, a hotspot for tourists and foodies, historic and rich with culture, and a neighborhood that knows struggle all too well, especially right now, according to SFU's Andy Yan.
I mean, right now it's a community under clear challenges, but I think that it's also been one of a neighborhood of sanctuary, those that the rest of the city does not accept, that people have been able to find a certain level of sanctuary here.
Chinatown has always had to fight for its survival. But through it all, people here have persevered with resilience and resistance. This was downtown Vancouver in 1907, a busy place even then. Streetcars on Granville and Hastings, horse-drawn buggies sharing the road with bicycles as they swerved around what the horses left behind. The city was growing quickly, with tens of thousands of residents, a few thousand of them Chinese, who lived just down the street from here in Chinatown.
This was the ghetto where the Chinese were pretty much forced to live because they weren't allowed to live in other parts of Vancouver. The Chinese were really poor, although the majority of Vancouver was poor, right, back then. The Chinese were extra poor because most of the men, and they were mostly men, had to pay the head tax to come here.
The $500 head tax was aimed at curbing the flow of Chinese immigrants, just a few years after the nation had relied on thousands of Chinese men to build the railway. But the anti-Asian sentiment didn't stop there. The Asiatic Exclusion League, founded in San Francisco, quickly migrated north, says Vancouver artist and author Henry Chang.
The Vancouver local chapter was organized by the Vancouver Trades and Labor Council, which was a labor umbrella organization. So they set up their very first meeting in August 1907, and about 400 men came out, white men came out to sign up, including the mayor at the time, Alexander Bethune, city councilors, leaders of the Christian churches, etc. So it was hardly a fringe radical group. In fact, it was pretty mainstream.
Tension was high that summer, and not just in Vancouver. Across the border in Bellingham, South Asian workers were attacked and driven out of town. And Vancouver's Chinese residents knew trouble was coming for them next.
People, locked themselves in their homes and barricaded their doors, and some people left town.
Really? Wow.
Because they were afraid something bad was going to happen. And something did.
September 7th, 1907, at the old City Hall on Main and Hastings, huge crowds turned out for an anti-immigration rally that quickly exploded into violence.
City Hall was used as the site where the speeches were made. Speeches were then relayed out to the crowd, and the crowd was whipped up into a frenzy, and then a mob broke out. Apparently this block here was full of people fighting. The police were completely overwhelmed. They brought out the fire department. It still wasn't enough.
Thousands swarmed the neighborhood, taking aim at any Chinese-owned storefront in sight.
That's one of the very few photographs after the riots of Chinatown.
And when they ran out of windows to break here, they turned their anger toward Japantown, leaving a trail of damage on Powell Street.
Well, apparently there was hand-to-hand combat that happened for 2 days. The Chinese they took a little bit of time to organize patrols and then to take back their streets. Now, the Japanese had a full day to prepare, so they set up barricades and they pulled out whatever rocks and bricks and bottles, and they put them up on their rooftops, and they were ready to throw it at the attackers, who eventually came the next day.
The riot finally ended because of a very Vancouver reason: pouring rain. There were no deaths, and some reparations were eventually paid, but more than a century later, it's an often overlooked part of Vancouver's history.
But these were all, the storefronts were destroyed or heavily damaged.
Yeah.
One that Henry Chung is trying to highlight in Riot Walk, the interactive walking tour and book he created.
Yeah, no, they definitely did not paint it and then make it fade. Yeah, we had to colorize that, right?
No, I didn't learn about it until my late 20s, I think. And when I discovered it, I was like, what the hell? How come I wasn't taught this in school?
Yeah.
Or university, right? But especially school, because like I grew up here, like you grew up here. Did you learn about it in school?
I did not.
Yeah, and kids still are not learning about it in school to this day, here.
Canada's anti-Chinese policies tightened even further after the riot, with an outright ban on Chinese immigration, something Andy Yan says had an impact for generations to come.
The effect of things like the head tax and the Chinese Exclusion Act would mean that we wouldn't have equal populations of men and women, Chinese men and Chinese women, until the 1980s.
Did that 1907 riot change things, or did it change how the Chinese approached the city beyond Chinatown?
Well, I think that it's really one through which kind of really began to shape really the kind of, I think, community. What is Vancouver's Chinatown as a community? How do people organize? Who are some of the early community leaders that feature this response?
For Henry Chung, it's a part of Vancouver's past with present-day implications.
The inequalities that resulted in this violence was just kind of normal at that time. And what else do we take for granted nowadays that is considered normal, that is actually deeply unfair, deeply inequitable, and potentially criminal in the future, right? I mean, what kind of practices do we have today being, looked upon from the rear view lens of the future would just be like so wrong, right? And what can we do about it?
Up next, progress or paternalism?
So do you mean actually take this whole neighborhood that we're in now, put it somewhere else?
Yeah, it would take this whole neighborhood and in one proposal put it on an island in False Creek.
The impact of good intentions and public policy on the Chinatown community and culture. The pink house on Kiefer Street stands out, not just for its color. Look a little closer. This is where a movement was born.
So this is the home of your childhood?
Well, I spent, more than 20 years of my life here, right?
Shirley Chan moved here as a young child and grew up to become a community activist, just like her parents, who spearheaded the creation of SPOTA, the Strathcona Property Owners and Tenants Association.
My mother dragged me around the neighborhood, getting neighbors to sign a petition.
Yeah, you remember doing that with her?
I do. I used to whine, you drag me around and you ask me, you say I'm going to translate and I never have to translate. You do all the talking yourself. Why do I need to be here?
This is why the Chan family had to move in the first place.
Blight is death to a city.
Beginning in the 1950s, city planners were on a mission to build what they considered a better city.
And these dwellings, built with such hope and care at the turn of the century, are dying board by board.
The Chan's first home on Dunlevy was demolished, along with hundreds of others.
As soon as a block is cleared of blighted buildings, more apartments and maisonettes will be constructed.
They felt that this was an area that was blighted and they wanted to break up the residential community to Chinatown because people worked in Chinatown and had businesses in Chinatown who lived here. And so when they first started urban renewal, they decided to clear the area along Gore Street because that would help to disperse the Chinese and break up the neighborhood.
Public housing was just the beginning of the forced transformation. The next phase was a freeway, the planning for which destroyed the black neighborhood of Hogan's Alley, a fate people in Chinatown and the surrounding community feared would happen to them too.
The freeway would not pass over top of Carroll Street. It would come on the side of it, so the whole shopping area would still be available. In my opinion, it would add shopping facilities to Chinatown, not take them away.
And then the plan was, of course, to put a freeway through the neighborhood, right? And that was what galvanized the larger community to support largely non-English speaking Chinese community.
The grassroots resistance worked. The locals won the freeway fight and stopped the Strathcona demolition. But a new battle was cooking, the barbecue wars. Dollar Meats has been in business for more than half a century. Founded by Yan Lin Chow and King Wong, and now run by Wong's son, Joey.
I had it for 54 years now. Kind of grew up here, yes.
Yeah.
Our main is the barbecue meats. All the barbecue meat is made here.
Windows full of barbecued meat are a familiar sight in any Chinatown, the aromas enticing hungry passers-by. But in the mid-1970s, Vancouver health inspectors started enforcing a regulation that required cooked meat to be kept above 60 Celsius. They said it was all about food safety, but as Chinatown meat shops pointed out, there had never been an issue before, and besides, they had a good reason for keeping the meat below 60 degrees.
It always tastes fresh, better when it freshly comes out, sit in the display case without additional heat to it.
Yeah,
right.
The flavors come out more.
Yeah, the flavor is better, it's not dry, it'll be moist.
Several stores were fined and even shut down temporarily, galvanizing business owners like Joey's dad to push back, as we reported back in 1978.
如果佢要我嗰啲肉裏邊咧，個 barbecue 裏邊140度咧，我冇可能做到。
To maintain his barbecued meat at 140 degrees Fahrenheit, he says, is like roasting a cooked pig all day. The meat would dry up and there would be much waste. Rather than complying, he says he will close down the shop if necessary.
The barbecue battle went on for years, reaching all the way to Ottawa.
They talked to the barbecue meat shops in Ottawa at the time, and they would bring certain stuff from here and then bring it over to Ottawa. Once they get there, then they would cook it over there and bring it to Parliament. And so the fight was brought to Parliament, where they served the politicians there. I remember there was a picture of them with Cretchet, John Cretchet, where he was giving him a piece and he was actually literally eating it there.
So many of these initiatives that we talk about, whether it's the freeway fight or the barbecue wars, that were really done under the best of intentions. The ideas of progress, the ideas of public health, all of which I think have a certain nobility in terms of what they're trying to accomplish.
Nobility and, in some cases, naivete, like the almost forgotten proposal urban planner Andy Yan discovered to relocate Chinatown altogether.
So do you mean actually like take this whole neighborhood that we're in now, put it somewhere else?
Yeah, it would take this whole neighborhood and in one proposal put it on an island in False Creek.
That was actually proposed?
That was well, it was conceptualized, but it looked like somebody who robbed the Oriental gardening section of an Art Naps and kind of plop it in the middle of False Creek and call it cafe.
Well-meaning attempts to improve the neighborhood, perhaps, but at what cost and for whom?
You're talking about these ideas of progress, but who do they benefit? Whose gaze are they built for? And who's included and who is not?
Today, the barbecue meat shops are still there, although there are far fewer of them. The duck and pork still hanging in the windows, luring customers inside. And that blighted neighborhood now boasts property values in the millions, including the pink house on Kiefer, where Shirley's brother and his wife still live, keeping the memory of their parents' fight alive.
They took a lot of trouble to retain as much of the heritage elements as possible.
Yeah.
And they decided to make it a tribute to Mom and Dad and the work that they did to help Chinatown and Strathcona survive.
Up next, Chinatown Hometown.
I just want him to grow up understanding that Chinatown is his community and he belongs here.
Raising the next generation. Plus how some are reconnecting with the community. When school is out for Ethan To, this is where he spends his afternoons.
Oh, what happened to your face?
I don't know. Everyone keeps on saying that.
At his family's appliance shop in Chinatown, just like his mom did when her parents were running the store.
So we have 3 generations here right now.
Yeah.
Do you like that your kids have taken over?
Of course. I have to retire.
Yeah. Keep it in the family.
Yeah.
And are you going to take it over when your mom retires?
I haven't thought about that yet.
Tracy To and her brother Ross Lamb took over from their father.
It was just a very natural progression that we stayed with the business.
It only made sense. After all, they grew up here.
Every day after school, I would be at the store, running around Chinatown, buying snacks and, you know, not causing trouble, but reading a book nicely.
So like instead of a babysitter,
yeah.
This was...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And you had like 8, 9-year-old kids running around Chinatown by themselves back in the day.
Yeah, and it was fine.
Back in the 1980s, it was shoulder-to-shoulder people. We'd have visitors that would visit from Seattle, and they would be like, I'm getting jostled when I'm walking down the street because it's a wall of people and you're just getting pushed along that wall. So it was so vibrant, and the atmosphere was amazing back then.
Things are clearly different now, and it doesn't go unnoticed by Tracy's son.
He does get bothered a little bit for the unsightly things that he sees on the streets, but I explained to him, I mean, this is just a part of Vancouver. This is just a part of Chinatown. That's not the defining character of Chinatown. It's the people, it's the businesses. Time to go? Yeah.
So instead of Ethan running around the neighborhood by himself like his mom did, she walks with him to his jiu-jitsu class across the street.
You going? You say hi to Nick.
We're gonna trap his arm inside here and over the...
But he's growing up in Chinatown like you guys.
Yes, yeah. This is very much his home as much as it is mine.
Just a few blocks away is where the 3 Sioux siblings spent much of their childhood, in the building their grandparents bought in the 1950s.
Every Sunday we have Chinese school at Chinese Cultural Center, and then after we come over here, bring lunch and have lunch with my grandma upstairs.
This was their dad's first home when he moved to Canada as a child. And now the Sioux have transformed the space into a cafe named for their late mother.
San San is actually our mother's Cantonese name.
The 3 of us wanted to have always been connected with food. I think food's always been an important thing in our family. We wanted to open this cafe and this restaurant together. I think when we finally landed on coming back to family, heritage, and roots, it felt perfect. In our late mother's name, it was like everything clicked.
There are obvious challenges right outside their front door. Just across the street from the provincial courthouse, it's more downtown east side than Chinatown, but to the Sioux, it's all one community.
I don't think I've known Chinatown without the downtown east side, so I can't even imagine what one would be like without the other. For me, it's this space in this neighborhood is really meaningful. My grandmother taught me how to wash rice and cook rice in this building, and I also learned how to play mahjong in this building too. So yeah, so it's really special.
For many of these shopkeepers, being in Chinatown isn't just a business opportunity, it's part of staying connected with the community and culture they grew up in. That's exactly what's happening at Man Kung School on Pender. In Cantonese classes for adults.
We call it survival Cantonese.
First thing, say good morning to your neighbor.
Many of whom had to be dragged to weekend Chinese school when they were kids, but who now eagerly spend their Saturday mornings here.
As an adult, I always felt like there was something missing, and I knew that there was a piece of me that wanted to rediscover my roots in Chinatown.
And you have a waiting list for this class?
Oh, yes.
It's over 100 right now.
I think there's like a resurgence of young people that are wanting to get involved in Chinatown, and not just this Chinatown, but Chinatowns across North America, and who are kind of like finding inspiration in like looking at what does this neighborhood mean for me, for this generation.
From language to lion dance, the sound of drums echoing through the streets is another Saturday tradition. 85 years after it was founded, Hansing Athletic Club is still going strong, with new generations learning the ancient art form.
Line dancing goes back to 2,000, 3,000 years, so I'm sure that the students back then were also probably doing the same basic foundational exercises as well.
Something kind of comforting that, like that tradition is...
Yeah, tradition is like passing down.
Passing down to students like Ethan Toe from Forum Appliances.
I just want him to grow up understanding that Chinatown is his community, and he belongs here, and hopefully when he grows up, he will fight for this community as well.
Hi, welcome.
It's that sense of community and home that keeps these families here.
It feels like a complete neighborhood for me. I can walk everywhere and do all of my grocery shopping at the Green Grocers in Chinatown.
A place of belonging.
This is the place where new immigrants would land and know that they could find support. There was such a beautiful network of organizations and people that have just come together out of resistance and out of mutual support and mutual aid to build this great place.
It's not the Chinatown of the past, nor should it be, says Tracy Toe, but knowing that this neighborhood has overcome huge adversity before gives her hope it will flourish once again for her son's generation.
It really is a very special place, and I feel like if people actually just look closely and pay attention, they will notice that it is so special.
It may be just a few blocks in the middle of a big city, but Andy Ann believes Chinatown is, in many ways, a microcosm of Vancouver. And as the community tries to bring life back to these streets, he says it must be built on the same foundation that created it in the first place.
The interesting thing is how much Vancouver's Chinatown is not of the city's past, but arguably a view into the future. But it's a future that still is one that we can change, that we need to change. But yet it's also how we commit to the idea of inclusion, of sanctuary, through which really were the reasons that powered the neighborhood in the first place.